So James, thank you very much for joining me today. This is a slightly unusual interview in the sense that the other guys that I've interviewed have been Peter Rollins, Chris Rossendale, leaders of huge businesses. And
Yes.
what I wanted to explore today is the beginnings of Preston Baker.
Okay.
And what it was like opening a business in October 2008. So for those people who've been living under a rock and haven't heard the legend of James Baker, do you want to give us a little bit of a background as to sort of how you got into the industry and how we know each other?
Sure. So I got into the industry through you. Ian Preston is actually my cousin. I was working in hospitality in Manchester, and I was getting sick of it. In fact, my body was getting sick of it. So I decided on a career change, and you told me that I should move to Newcastle and become an estate agent, which I did, and then you moved away.
Yeah.
And left me in Newcastle working for Countrywide and sold me your house.
That's right.
At peak price. I worked various roles within Countrywide, working myself up to branch manager, and then I moved down to Yorkshire to manage Bradford. And about 9 months into that, the market crashed, and Countrywide decided they were going to close around 60 of their branches nationwide. One of those was Bradford, and I had the option to move to another branch. But at the same time, they were looking to close branches like York, and we felt that that was a mistake. Wrote them a business plan about how they could make York work even in a tougher market. And they came back and said, we're not going to make those changes, but you guys could have a franchise. And then we set up Bairstow Eves on the 1st of October 2008.
So it was a pretty crazy time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Lehman Brothers had just gone out of business. It was definitely, when you said to people that you were setting up an estate agency, people looked at you like you were insane.
Absolutely. And so what was it like in those early days, both in terms of the market and then also how the business was set up?
I actually think it was one of the better markets we've traded in. And what I mean by that is that people's expectations were realistic. So we inherited, I think, about 40 properties from the Countrywide branch. And then it was our job to go out and work those effectively to get price reductions, remove stuff that wasn't going to sell. And we did it very effectively. In fact, we opened our next branch exactly a year later in Selby. So I really enjoyed that market. It was tough, it was exciting, it was cutthroat, but the hard work was enjoyable.
Totally. And I think one of the things which makes a really difficult market is the fact when buyers and sellers' expectations are on different pages.
Agreed.
So, it's actually, if both buyers and sellers know that it's a terrible market, then that's in many ways easier than the points of change. When suddenly you've got buyers are still thinking it's terrible and sellers are thinking that it's great, and then suddenly it can be quite hard to put deals together. Okay, fine. And what sort of things, for those people who maybe are experiencing this market as we go towards the budget, and certainly a lot of the London agents that I've been speaking to have found things incredibly tough. What are the activities that that you would recommend to them that they undertake, to make deals happen when there's negative equity and all of those other bits?
Negative equity we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen it in Yorkshire in a while. I think that you've just got to, in a tougher market, you just have to be more proactive. So, in a booming market, it is easier when the business is falling to you and your staff. We found that our staff sometimes become a bit lazy because you don't have to do some of the more deal piecing and work that you have to do in order to make stuff work that you have to do in a tough market. And now we have a market where you need to go out and you need to piece deals together, and you need to go and put offers forward face to face to make sure that you can get the sellers on board and that they understand the type of market we're in order to get those deals together.
Mm. And if you're looking at the market then and the market today, what sort of comparisons would you make with it? Is there any similarity at all?
I think it's potentially could be tougher today than it was then. And what I mean by that is that when you talked about expectations, is that when the crash happened, it was catastrophic and everybody knew that the market was completely total. So the sellers had an expectation. The people who needed to sell knew they weren't going to get the value they could have. But right now, I think a lot of sellers still have the aspiration or the thought that their value is still very high. And there are still quite a few agents that go out there and sell the dream that you're going to get the value that you would have got in July and stuff like that, when we just simply know that isn't the case now, which is why we're picking up a lot of stock from other estate agents who are putting it on too high.
Okay, cool. And if I sort of fast forward to maybe 2012, and we set up Preston Baker Financial Services, as it
Yep.
was then. We both came from a corporate background, so we're quite used to dealing in financial services. But one of the things which has surprised me the most is that the agents that I go out and support now across the country, in general, have got relatively weak financial services businesses.
Okay.
What do you think, were the important steps that we put in place to make sure that we had this sort of decent mortgage brokerage? In fact, it won the best financial services business in a estate agency in 2016, and it's grown by 30% in the last year, despite the poor market. So what would you put that down to?
I think you have, as a business owner, you have to see the advantage of financial services, really, for you to inspire the staff about it. The advantages, as I see it, is that lending can be tricky at the best of times, down values, all the sort of things we have to deal with in a sales progression market, which is now nearly 5 months in length. You need someone who is an expert in that market to be able to work hard with you to get the end result, which is to get everybody moved. And if someone comes to you with an AIP from a lender and there's no one involved, you're dealing with a call center, and that invariably means that you're not going to get the level of service that you need. So it's about having that expert hand to help you get these completions. So if you perceive that benefit, then that's one of the major things that you need in picking a financial services partner.
Because a lot of people sort of see it as a dirty word, don't they? That estate agents don't feel that they should be promoting financial services.
Yeah, and a lot of negotiators don't like pitching financial services, when actually all you're doing is you're providing a service which is of a benefit to a client, more likely to move, more likely to save money. So again, it's about having confidence in the people that you're referring to. In the old Countrywide days, we used to have to refer to some mortgage brokers which were great, some mortgage brokers which were not great, but you were forced to do that. So you just need to find a good partner that you can be confident in is going to give you that back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. What would you say it's like working with family?
Do you know, they say never work with family and kids or animals and whatever it is. I'm not classing you as an animal. But we've never really had a disagreement. So for me, it's been very good. We have different management styles and we have different views on things, but we congruently share the same values. So we believe in the same kind of work ethic. We believe in the same kind of, morals, and that means that even if we have differing views, fundamentally, I know that we're on the same page when it comes to the main focus.
Totally. I think the key thing from my point of view is trust.
Yes.
I can trust you to always have my back no matter what happens. And I think whether a business partner is family or not, that is kind of in many ways the most important thing.
Agreed.
But I guess also respect is the other part, that that they're going to put the effort in as you're putting the effort in as well.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing which, even if you take it into the context of a branch, if you've got one negotiator in the team who is lazy, then everyone else's effort drops to that person. Yeah. And then the same is true in a sort of leadership team. Is that everyone, you need to feel like your business partner's working. So we've been very, very lucky in that respect, haven't we? Okay, cool. So in 2017,
yes,
we won the best estate agent overall winners award with our Oakwood branch just across the road.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that was like, and I guess why you think at that point in time we had, all of the branches in the top 100? And
we had 5 of our branches in the top 20.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 in the top 10. Obviously, we had number 1 as well. We had a traditional branch model at that point. We had well-established teams that we'd brought through and trained personally. We had young and enthusiastic teams. We were on a roll with a lot of awards that we were winning generally. It was a good time.
Yeah. And why do you think that was? What were the keys to that period of success?
I've thought about this quite a bit. I think predominantly it was a culmination of the amount of time and effort that we'd put in since 2008 in building something. We were actively involved in the business on a day-to-day running, like going and doing the valuations, training people constantly, getting them to do it the way that we wanted to do it. And we brought the whole team through. And I think where we maybe didn't do as well after that period of time was where me and you stepped away from the business to follow other business ventures that we had. And that kind of ethos and that kind of, I can't find the word, but that kind of culture, that's the word I'm looking for. That culture kind of disappeared a little. And I think that was it for me.
Okay. And I would agree with that. And I think that one of the things which came through in both the interview I did with Chris Rosendale and Pete Rollins is both of them are on it. Like every day, 12 hours a day. And one of the things that I remember the most from 2008 when we set up was that we'd heard that another agent in York
Gone to the gym.
And we laughed our asses off about this.
I remember that.
Do you remember?
I'm a member of the same gym now.
Yeah,
and I
okay.
can think about it when I go.
And effectively, as we were the hungry young guys on the way up, we were prepared to work hard and we were prepared to outperform. And I'm working with a number of, young agents, and by that I mean business owners under the age of 30. There's a brilliant guy called Tom in Brighton who I'm working with at the moment. And when I look at them, I see the hunger and the energy and the passion. They don't always get it right. They're often a little bit off the mark. And I don't mean that in any critical way, but they don't have the benefit necessarily of experience. But by God, what they've got is the hunger. And I think in this industry, energy and hunger kind of trump everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you are absolutely going for it and you've got a culture and an energy. And one of the things I've loved about, what you've done since you've come back into the business with our self-employed model is you're bringing a lot of those bits of core values back into it.
And I was just going to say it relates back to the sort of hunger that we had then, and now I'm trying to instill and bring in people who have the same hunger for the self-employed model, because they can do what we did in a slightly different model. Yeah. It's a much more less risky model for them to do. But I'm really excited. We've got some young ones coming through. I say young ones, under 30, coming through who are chomping at the bit of work for us for a little bit of time to get their understanding of estate agency up, and are about to sort of fly the nest and go self-employed as of the 1st of January. And they are so hungry, and it's quite refreshing to see the energy that they bring to the table. In fact, some of our culture values are around attitude and energy as a business. 100%. And they really incorporate that. So it's really exciting to see.
Definitely. And I think that's been the big thing which I've observed as you've now taken the helm at the Preston Baker business again, having spent a bit of time away from it, is this return to the values and those sort of 4 core values that we've got as a business: premium, attitude, community, energy, and driving those 4 things back in. Yeah. And so as you sort of look forward to the next 2 years and you sort of imagine, this kind of weird combination we've now got of technology, business models, like having self-employed rather than a huge number of employed. What do you see as the big challenges which estate agency businesses are going to face over the next 2 years?
So the challenges based on the new models of self-employment and technology.
I think from our perspective, and certainly from your perspective, I'm interested. You might be looking at that broadly, or it could be really specifically from our lens. But what do you see as the big challenges for the next 2 years?
Specifically from our point of view, I think the implementation of the technology and the self-employed model is great for us, because we have a pre-established self-employed model which is proven to double or triple employed people's wages in a very easy manner for them to do. And I think the technology is only going to support that. So it means that out of hours can be answered by AI and referred back, so you're not missing phone calls. It can work old data so that it can warm leads up and things like that, which just means that from an associate point of view, you can spend more time doing the face-to-face and the personal touch stuff and less time doing the back office stuff, which means that then they can list more houses, sell more houses, earn more commission.
Absolutely. And what about flexible fees? It's been something that I haven't stopped talking about for at least 18 months, and I'm bored of hearing myself talk about it, but it's still a huge topic within the industry.
It is. It's becoming more mainstream now.
It's becoming more mainstream, absolutely. We've got Connells doubling their pilot, just to name one example. So you gave me some numbers, which are that Preston Baker in the last year, only 17% of the listings from the last 12 months have been no sell, no fee.
So that's right, about 17.4.
17.4, okay. But we're not going to argue over that. So why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that, Preston Baker has got such a high penetration of customers paying something or everything up front.
Well, they're incentivised to. So by paying a small amount of money, currently around £300, they get 20% discount on their fee.
Yeah.
So instantly, why wouldn't you do that? And in today's market, £300 is not a lot of money. In fact, we're looking at ways where we actually move that point up in line with property value is going to be the next thing that we look at in 2026. So actually people are paying more up front. And what we found with people paying up front is that the more that they pay up front, unsurprisingly, the more likely they are to move. Yeah. And no sale, no fee. The reason we really want to move away from that model is because when people put the house on the market, 50% of them end up not moving because either they get a sale and they kind of just pull out of it. But if people have paid up front or paid some up front, even if it's a small £300-400, what we found is they're much less likely to pull out of a deal. They're going to try and make the deal work, and they're much more likely to actually move, which means all the time and marketing and energy and effort we put into it actually comes back to us.
Totally. And what do you think the importance is for people who are operating a self-employed model to have something like flexible fees?
Well, it allows new self-employed associates to get up and running straight away. So we can train someone to do upfront fees, and it means in their month one, month two, we had someone who joined us who had never listed before. They'd been in an estate agency but never listed before, and in their first month did 20 grand of upfront fees. They earn 12, 13 grand off the back of that in their first month.
Wow.
So when you've got this fear often of people going self-employed about how am I going to earn money, you've got to build a pipeline, which nowadays might take 2 months to sell, 5 months to come through. There's a fall through rate involved in that. Well, actually, how about getting some of that? How about you get one of your listings a month full upfront fee? That's 3-4 grand. Our average fee is 4. In the north, so I'd imagine down south it's a little higher. Yeah. So instantly they can start earning money straight away.
It's huge. And when I've talked to the other owners of the self-employed models out there, the number one challenge, is attrition in the first 6 to 12 months. Yeah. And I think that whilst there's loads of things which they're doing brilliantly, what we've got definitely is a really sticky model in the sense that we don't have people coming in and then immediately leaving or failing in the first 6 months because they can actually get up to speed, they can start earning because of the level of support which you put in there. So flexible fees for me and self-employment just go together absolutely perfectly in terms of
absolute synergy. And it should be in self-employment and in normal estate agency. If we were running a non-self-employed model, I would have flexible fees there as well. Yeah. Because it's cash flow, it's revenue, and the pipeline term at the moment is just awful. Yeah. It's just getting every year it just gets a little longer.
Understood. Because I often think about self-employed agents, so people who want to move from an employed model to a self-employed model to be able to maybe earn 85 to 100 grand a year, pretty much, which in the north is a huge bit. You have to have the will, so you've got to really want it. Yeah. You've got to have the skill, so you've got to have that overlapping. So now you need people with both the will and the skill. And then the final problem is you need the means to support yourself for 6 to 9 months. Yes. And the beauty is if you can take the means question away and just have people with the will and the skill, suddenly we can actually have a better quality of agent, can access more talent, and therefore hopefully deliver better outcomes for our customers.
Agreed. Yeah.
What do you think is the future of branches in the sort of
traditional sense?
Traditional sense,
I think there'll always be a place for a high street branch. I just think, like us, we've gone from 8 to 3 high street branches. I think that, if you're a market leading agent or want to be a market leading agent in your area, then having a branch is a really good place. It's a great market. It's a great advertisement for you in the local place. People still come up to our branches. I watch them when I'm in the branches, come up and have a look through. Now, whether they're your serious buyers or not, probably not, but it's the brand awareness that you get from a branch. So I think branches still have a place. I just think maybe when you're starting out, you might be able to set up your business without a branch, whereas you didn't used to be able to do that, and then get to a certain point of revenue where if you wanted a branch, you might take it to the branch level.
Great. So James, thank you so much for taking the time
to
have a chat with me. And it's been unbelievable. How many years now? Like 18? 18 years. And we've got a number of things right, we've got a number of things wrong over those years. And at every stage I've been grateful to have you as my business partner.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say so. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you. sitting down with me. Really appreciate it.